Valenti, editor of Workplace Material Handling and Safety magazine. Safety culture is paramount in high hazard industries where the risks of accidents and disasters are significant. A strong safety culture emphasizes a proactive approach to safety, promoting awareness, accountability, and a collective commitment to preventing harm. It ensures the well-being of workers, protects the environment, and safeguards the reputation and sustainability of a business. Veriforce is committed to providing the tools and resources to help its customers strengthen their safety cultures. Now, for a client perspective on all this, I'm talking today to Chris Gafford, HSE Manager with Callon Petroleum. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, let's start out with having you tell us a little bit about your company and your role in it when it comes to its safety program.
Sure. So Callon Petroleum is a exploration and production company, an oil company, I guess, if you will. That's our business, and have corporate office in Houston, but all of our production is here in the Permian Basin, the Midland, Odessa area. Midland, Odessa, Pecos, in far West Texas, beautiful West Texas. And so we produce about 100,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day, about 350 employees total. I am the safety manager for all of Callon. So when it comes to safety stuff, whether it's dealing with contractors or dealing with our own employees, I'm the guy that gets blamed for all of that.
Well, what were the safety challenges that your company was dealing with prior to working with Veriforce?
Well, a big problem is always contractors. They send a salesperson over to talk to some of the operations guys, and they get promised the world what all they can bring to the table and what they can do for Callon. But then once you get them out on location, whether or not they can do the job ends up being secondary to how safe they can be when they're doing it. And if we don't have a solid grasp of each one of our contractors and what their safety program is like and their safety culture within their company, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. We're going to have people getting hurt left and right. And so that's one thing that Veriforce does for us, is it gives us kind of a clearinghouse type place where all of our contractors are putting their information in, so that we can go in and see, okay, you have this policy, you have that policy, and so on. And then we can take that information out into the field, and my field guys can say, hey, your company said that you have a confined space policy. What is it? Are y'all actually using it? That kind of thing. It really helps us hold our feet to the fire when it comes to working safely.
Now, Veriforce invests in a team of experts that are available to provide industry knowledge, best practices on how to solve complex problems, and to offer technical expertise as well. Can you tell us about a time that a Veriforce subject matter expert helped you make a decision regarding your business, which resulted in a positive outcome?
Actually, we're in the process of that right now. So one of the things that we recognize at Callon is that we call them PICs. A lot of people call them company men or consultants, whatever. The guys on location running the jobs, whether it's on a drilling rig or a construction project or whatever it is. We realized that a lot of those guys are subject matter experts, and they can drill a well, they can run electricity, whatever it is. But they are not great safety leaders. They're not great at keeping guys safe. They just say, go do this, and then kind of hands off. Well, we needed to figure out how to get these guys a little bit more in line with, hey, listen, we don't have an army of safety people out here sitting on every location and whatnot like some companies do. We need you to be the safety leader on location. So Veriforce has a course through PEC called Safe Supervisor. And we thought, this is great. This is the kind of stuff we need. Teaches these guys how to be a supervisor from a safety perspective. Well, we get to looking through the course, and it's got a lot of good information in it, but it's also got some that we felt like we could tweak a little bit, maybe a little bit better suited for Callon. or really better suited just for 2023. This course was put together in 2017. So I got a hold of them, and James Junkin works closely with Veriforce. He's the president, I believe, of Gulf Mariner, which is a safety consultant type company, and he's also on their strategic advisory board and helps them develop all these different programs. So he's one of the experts, like you talked about. I called him. I said, "Hey, man, this is close, but not exactly what we need. Here's what we're shooting for." And he said, "Hey, let's get together and figure it out." And so we've had a couple of meetings now, and we've gone through that program, and taken out the fluff that we didn't need and added in some other stuff that maybe is a little more pertinent, so on, and really are in the process of developing this really good safe supervisor course that I can then go and distribute to my PICs out in the field, to where they're looking at things not just from a subject matter expert viewpoint, but also as the safety guy on location.
You've kind of deputized them as safety supervisor.
Yeah, exactly. And we did that thinking, oh, everybody knows how to keep guys safe, and they don't. And so a lot of these guys, they would allow mistakes or unsafe acts to happen on location. And we say, "Why did you do that?" Their answer was like, I didn't know not to. I didn't know they couldn't. I'm just here to drill this well or whatever. And so we realized, no, we need some guys. We need to train our guys to lead the train here. Be out in front, being the safety guy, and really kind of taking the bull by the horns. And so when we do that, things just go so much better. And when these contractors show up on location and they see that there's a PIC there who takes safety seriously, who's willing to take the time to have the pre-job safety meetings, willing to take the time to fill out the JSA, do the hazard hunts, these kind of things, then their attitude, the contractor's attitude, changes completely, towards the job and towards the company. So Callon is in this kind of a weird spot where we're not a small company. We're publicly traded. But we came from a small company, started out small back in December of 2019, perfect timing. Carrizo and Callon merged, and they're both the same size company. And so it doubled the size right before COVID and negative oil and so on. Like I said, just perfect timing. But we made it through that. We've made a couple acquisitions since then. So we've become a much bigger company. But in our area, the name Callon is still tied to smaller independent company. And so we have a lot of these contractors show up on location. And even though they were working over at Chevron yesterday, who has a very high bar for safety standards, they come over to Callon and they think, Callon doesn't really care. That, no problem. We don't have to do this over there or whatever. And that's just absolutely not the case. But it is kind of a hurdle that we try and fight. So by training these PICs to be out front and make sure everybody understands, no, we do care and we do expect you to do it right. By doing that, we saw our TRIR, our total recordable incident rate. We set a company record last year for the lowest it's ever been at a 0.39, that includes our contractors and employees. So 3.6 million man hours last year. We had 7 recordable accidents, none of them requiring lost time or days away, a job transfer, none of that. So very minor incidents, some stitches and whatnot. But we've achieved that by turning every PIC into their own safety man, on location.
Those are amazing numbers in a high hazard industry like yours.
Really proud of it. 0.39. The bad part is that, when you set a record like that, I mean, everybody wants continuous improvement, the board of directors and whoever else, and tried to explain to them, hey, look, even Olympic athletes aren't setting world records every day. You know what I mean? So we'll do what we can this year, but just in case, be patient with us.
All right. Now, Veriforce strives to support its clients by providing the tools and resources and expertise necessary to strengthen safety culture at every level of a company. Now, since implementing the Veriforce supply chain risk and compliance management solution, and you've touched on this already, But did you want to expand a little bit on how the safety culture in general at Callon Petroleum has changed for the better?
Yeah, but well, it's changed kind of twofold. One is here as a company, within Callon, and then also within our contractors. So within Callon, by using Veriforce, by going through and verifying our contractors and their safety programs and cultures and that kind of stuff, um, all of a sudden everybody here within Callon understands like, oh, we are going to take safety seriously. We don't just go out there and kind of fly by the seat of our pants. So they understand when they're looking for new contractors, new MSAs, that kind of stuff, they need to pick the right company, because sooner or later, the safety department is going to go through and look at that contractor. And if we've picked a bad contractor, we're just not going to use them. We're going to find somebody that can do it safer. Even occasionally when it means a little more money, a little slower, whatever it is, we're willing to make those sacrifices to pick the safe contractors. And then as far as the way it's changed things with our contractors, again, they're starting to realize that Callon isn't this little tiny company that doesn't care about safety. They know that we care about it. Number one, they're seeing it from our PICs out on location. And then my guys, the safety coordinators that report to me, they're out on location doing safety audits, field audits on all the different operations out there. And then we'll take all that information, and usually by doing those field audits, we can see some holes in somebody's safety program or whatever. But then we'll go and we'll do a Veriforce audit. So we'll go to their office, contractor, XYZ, we'll go to their office and we'll say, hey, in Veriforce, you said you have this program and this one, you do this training and this training, show us, let us see it. Now, Veriforce themselves offers a service where they will go and do those audits for you. And they're very intense and they'll look through everything. We don't do that. We only spend 2 or 3 hours going through some things, because you can see real quick if somebody's pencil whipping stuff or if they're taking it seriously, and so our contractors now, word's getting out and they've learned that, oh, wait, they are taking this serious. And if our guys go out to the field and they do an audit on these contractors, it turns out not good, you can bet we're coming to the office next. And then after we're done with all of that, we're going to call you in and say, hey, man, we need you to explain yourself. Why aren't you doing the safest, best thing? And at that point, we'll either have some corrective actions will get put in place, or we'll replace the contractor if we have to. We do our best to work with the contractors and get them up to speed, and just tell them, hey, here's our expectations. But, it's not off the table to say, hey, we're going to find somebody else.
Veriforce provides its clients with a dedicated customer support team to address product-specific questions and issues. Now, Chris, what are some positive experiences you've had with the customer support team since becoming a Veriforce client?
Well, I'll tell you this, Alexandra Constance is our customer service manager. She's our dedicated lady for Callon. And I don't know what they pay her, but she's worth at least twice as much. I can tell you that. She's great. Her and Lauren Lindley also help, and Jamie Brenner helps with insurance. But so I developed a relationship with these people that are dedicated to, and I'm sure they have other customers or other accounts, but they're dedicated to the Callon account. So if I need something, I can call Allie, I can email Allie, whatever it is. And I mean, Johnny on the spot. If I can call her and I say, hey, can you please run a report that shows me every contractor we have that had an OSHA citation last year? Boom, she'll get it to me. I can call her and say, hey, this particular contractor doesn't seem to be taking this serious. They haven't updated anything in Veriforce in the last year and a half, but we really need them. Allie will get on the phone with them and walk them through and coach them on, hey, we need to get this filled out. We need to get that done, to get them in compliance. So I can't say enough good things about Allie. She is really on top of it. And as I've met other people in the Veriforce world, like I mentioned, James Junkin and Lauren Lindley, and I've even met the CEO, Colby Lane, couple times, and they're just all good as gold, and really care about their customers, and really care about doing the job. I mean, they want to bring people home safe, from high hazard jobs, and they do their part in it. So we just are really thankful for our relationship with Veriforce.
Nice. And it looks like you got a free coffee cup from them too. Is that on your desk?
It wasn't free. I had to sit through a day long meeting with them. But yeah, I got one.
Very nice. Now, you talked before about how Veriforce customized a program for you, and I'd love to hear a little bit more because, every company is different, and Veriforce understands the importance of tailoring software to meet individual needs, as they did with your company. They updated it and they customized it. Do you want to talk about some of the other advantages you've experienced in, for instance, using a contractor management solution that is customized to integrate into Callon Petroleum's existing processes?
Yeah, so one of the things that we found out over the last couple of years is, okay, we have Veriforce and we have our contractors putting their information in there, their OSHA logs and their policies and procedures and all this kind of stuff, right? And then we have a set scoring, where it says, okay, they have this, they don't have that, blah, 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 and they're going to be put in one of three categories, either preferred or caution or high risk. But then we started to notice as we did a little bit of data mining over the last couple of years that the categories they're getting put into aren't really lining up with where they should. And I'll give you an example. Last year, we had 27 different contractors that had an incident, first aid, something small, right? 27 different ones. Only 3 out of those 27 were listed as high risk. And so we thought, well, wait a minute, this ought to be a tool that we can use to help predict which contractors are going to be high risk and end up getting somebody hurt, so that we can start, shifting away from that. So we realized this isn't where we need to be. If only 3 out of 27 were labeled right, you expect a couple of them out of the 27, a few of them, hey, it's a preferred company, they had a bad day or whatever. But so we get with Veriforce and we say, hey, we got to figure this out. Well, who set our scoring criteria? I don't know. It was there when I got here. I'm pretty sure it was set somewhere around the time that Noah built the ark, and so it's just been there. And so I said, well, we need to do something different. So again, we get with Allie and some of the other people and show us the scoring set that some of our peers are using. And this is a great way that they'll customize it for you, because they say, all right, here's the scoring set of your peers. They say, well, they're all grading real heavily on OSHA citations, and maybe, and I'm just making this up, but maybe to Callon, an OSHA citation isn't a big deal, right? So take that off of there. That shouldn't count against them. Oh, wait, our peers aren't looking at short service employee programs. That's super important to us, add that in there. And so we can tweak and adjust our scoring. And so now what we're finding out this year, as we've done that, it takes a while to get it all tweaked, but once they've customized it and tweaked it just for us, now we have a useful tool. Now we have a deal where every time I get a phone call and say, hey, this guy smashed his finger or worse, I go and look up that company. I'm like, yep, sure enough, a high risk contractor, so now we're seeing the scores match up where we think they should. And so what do we do with that? Well, once a quarter, our supply chain team, procurement team, they have a meeting with every different department in the company, and they have a list of spend there, and we go through every high risk one. Everyone is ranked high risk, and we say, all right, why are you using these guys? Do we have an alternative? Why are they high risk? I mean, we dig into each one. And so because Veriforce is so customizable and they're so willing to work with us and show us where we can do better, we can start to really focus in on the true high risk contractors and either, bring their level up or, pivot and go a different direction altogether. So, I mean, that's just one example of how it's so customizable, reports and, I mean, whatever you need. I can't even name to you all the different tools that Veriforce has that are just incredible to use.
Well, I want to talk about another one of those tools, flexible questionnaires. And they're essential in providing hiring clients and contractors with the tools to assess and mitigate risk effectively. And Veriforce updates and adjusts, as you mentioned, assessment criteria regularly to meet industry standards and the needs of their customers, like Callon Petroleum. How does Veriforce's questionnaire help you when making hiring decisions?
Well, so that's it. They fill out the questionnaire, and based on the questionnaire, they're being put into one of three categories: preferred, caution, or high risk. If we get a request, say from our construction guy, okay, our construction superintendent says, hey, I want to start using this company, okay, during the MSA process, we'll look at their Veriforce account and we'll see, like, these guys do not have the safety programs and procedures and stuff that we want. This is not the company for us, and we'll just stop the MSA process right there. That's a hurdle they have to be able to jump. But then also with the questionnaires, Veriforce does a good job of keeping up with current things, like, for example, ESG. Whether I'm a big fan of ESG or not doesn't matter. It's here, and Veriforce has added in questions into their questionnaire to ask these contractors, these contract companies, where are you at on your ESG plan? Being a publicly traded company, it's important to investors, our ESG score. And so we can't have a good score, a good sustainability rating and all that kind of stuff without having our contractors participate in that, and so adding those questions is a perfect example of how they're continuing to change with the times. And then, Callon can add our own questions. So even if it's something they've never asked before, okay, so let's say for whatever reason, just as an example, that Callon prefers company that wears blue socks, right? I can have them add into that questionnaire, does your company wear blue socks? And then I can assign some points to that, so that if they answer no, it automatically drops their score, or whatever it is. So they have your standard safety questionnaire, but then I can also add stuff in, I can take stuff out, that kind of thing. So between our customization of it and Veriforce constantly keeping up with things like ESG and stuff like that, it really works out well.
Many Veriforce clients either operate on a global scale or have plans to expand internationally. Now, Veriforce has the expertise to address diverse safety regulations and compliance standards across multiple regions, and the company can even accommodate multiple languages and customs.
All of our stuff is not only in America, it's all in Texas. Thank goodness. We don't have to deal with, there's special regulations over in New Mexico and so on. However, we have used Veriforce a couple times to say, hey, listen, we have this form or that form or whatever. And we have a large Spanish speaking workforce, in West Texas. And we don't do it a lot, but we've asked them, hey, do you have anybody that can translate this for us, or at least read through this? And is it translated correctly before we pass it out to the masses? They also offer a lot of their training, like Safe Land and some other stuff, in Spanish. So we take advantage of that pretty regular too. I know it's not really an international deal, but that's as far as I can get you.
It's important. I mean, if workers don't understand the safety precautions that they're learning about, they're not going to be helpful to them.
Correct.
Chris Gafford, HSE Manager with Callon Petroleum, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Absolutely, anytime. And I can't, like I said, I can't say enough good things about Veriforce. We really enjoy our relationship with them, and they bring us a ton of value.
Stay ahead of the risk. Visit Veriforce.com to find out how the Veriforce supply chain risk and compliance management solution can give your company the tools to strengthen its safety culture. That's Veriforce.com.